Hello YouTube folks, and welcome to another video. My name is Stephanie Iris, and today we will be talking about some books that are not technically romance books, but that have really good romances in them. Whether they're really smutty or they're really romantic and fantastical and swoon-worthy. I kind of have a bit of a spectrum today, going across many genres, and I hope you enjoy. Just as a reminder, I do rent a lot of books from my library, and I listen to a lot of audiobooks in addition to my personal collection, so I don't have most of these in a hard copy, but I do have a couple, so I'll be showing pictures here as I talk about them. So the first book on today's agenda is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I know this author is really popular and a lot of people have already read this book. It's technically a fiction book, but it has this incredible story. It's a little bit based on the real life story of Fleetwood Mac and how they rose to fame and then fell apart as a band. And in this book, it is the tale of a young group of men who form a band, and while rising to stardom, they find that they really need another front person. And so the manager introduces Daisy Jones, and she is this rambunctious wild child with lots of talent and very little skill. And her and the original front guy of the band, called the Six, have this huge, like, will they, won't they romance throughout the whole story. And it's almost like rivals to almost lovers, I'll say, because the ending is very questionable. No spoilers here, but there's no guarantee with their relationship. But they really compete a lot, and they butt heads a lot on how they should run the band and how they should write songs and how songs should be sung. And they have so much will they won't they energy, like back and forth and back and forth. You really never know what's going to happen between the two of them. The second book on today's list is Normal People by Sally Rooney. This is another classic fiction book. Mostly young readers read it because it takes place in like late high school and then college and then a little bit post-college life. It's between these two people, a man and a woman, and it's very much will they won't they as well. And they are a little bit like academic rivals, but not really. They never like battle it out, but they're both at the top of their class, and there's a little bit of that. And it has a very tragic undertone. If you like the yearning and the back and forth on do I like her, do I like him, I don't know, kind of sensations, then I think you would really like this book. The next book that I want to recommend for books that are not romances but have a really incredible romance in them is This Is How You Lose the Time War by, I want to make sure I say it right, Amal El Montar and Max Gladstone. This is a sci-fi book, and it's really short, so if you're looking for a quick read, I would recommend this one. But it is about this time war, these two opposing agents, and they write letters to each other. Most of the book is in the form of letters, so it's predominantly in the second person, which is also really cool. And they slowly form feelings for each other. The story is enemies to lovers for sure, because they're literally in opposing agencies trying to win this intergalactic time war. If you want like gut-wrenching, life-threatening, fall to your knees begging for your feelings to be returned kind of romance, I would recommend this book. Sci-fi is typically difficult for me to get through. I much prefer fantasy and fiction, but I do dabble in it sometimes. And at first I started this book not even knowing that it was a romance at all or had any romance in it. And I started this book and I was like, meh, okay, yeah, they're just like fighting for dominance over the universe, I guess. How interesting. But then the feels. This book will stab you in the heart and rip it out of your chest, for sure. The next book I want to recommend is another Taylor Jenkins Reid, because she is a romance master, and that is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This book is a fiction as well. It's LGBTQ, no spoilers, but it is LGBTQ if you're interested in that kind of romance. And it's very glamorous. the way it is written and the way that the main character sees the world is very like spotlights and these elegant gowns and these huge houses. It's like the definition of pull yourself up by your bootstraps and make it in this world. And the romance is it's a surprise. It's very realistic for the time. Again, like I said, it's an LGBTQ romance, so you have to kind of put that into perspective with the golden age of Hollywood era that the story takes place. It's about Evelyn Hugo and how she becomes famous as an actress through both her incredible skill and her manipulation of the system by association of marrying specific men to rise up in the ranks. And the romance is really beautiful. It's very like tender. If you like not hot and intense, it's very like sweet and kind romance. I would recommend this one. The next book that I want to recommend is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. Hopefully I said that right. This is a mentor-mentee or like teacher-student without like the gross underage, overage stuff. It's a fantasy book and it takes place in this village that's protected by this man who lives in a tower. It's kind of like, it's a little bit like Beauty and the Beastie because he takes a girl every 10 years and nobody in the village knows what he does with that girl, but they always end up leaving the village and going to live in the city or in the kingdom somewhere else. He picks this girl unexpectedly. Usually he picks like a girl with an incredible skill or incredible beauty, and he instead picks this kind of plain girl, and they both discover together that she has magic. And through discovering that she has magic in her, they have a little something. It's definitely a slower burn because the main plot is really dominant in the story, but like that last like 7th of the book, it's very heart fluttery. And it's a little bit, I don't want to say it's grumpy sunshine because she's definitely not sunshine, but it's definitely like tight-lipped, strict man who follows the books, type A, really personality guy, and girl with stains all over her dresses and dirt under her fingernails who forgets to put shoes on before she leaves the house. Kind of romance, like opposing personalities. So that's also exciting to see their banter and how they go from hating each other for their differences to kind of liking each other for their differences. The next book I want to recommend, and honestly one of my favorite reads this year, I will be posting a top 10 books of 2023 once the year ends, and I actually read all the books I'm going to be reading this year. But the next book I want to recommend, and this is gonna fluff some feathers, is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I know this is categorically at like Barnes & Noble and stuff a romance book, but when I read this book, it did not feel like the main plot was the romance. This to me felt like a political comedy because it is about the Prince of England and the son of the president in America, and it is a huge rivals to lovers, enemies to lovers, I guess, but they're not like fighting, so I think it's rivals to lovers, and it's LGBTQ as well, and it takes place in like a parallel universe almost, or maybe the future a little bit, where the president is a woman. I would, instead of rivals to lovers, I'm gonna call it star-crossed because it's very Romeo and Juliet. It's like opposite ends of the world, can't talk to each other, nobody else knows, it's a big secret. But this romance, if you like humor, it's a little smutty and like that sort of young, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed energy that comes with young adults falling in love, I would recommend this book. And it's not like forced, it's delivered so beautifully, and I believe there's a show on like Amazon or something for the book as well. The next book I would recommend is a book that I bought at like a Goodwill or something, or like one of those $1 bins. So this was like a huge risk book when I first purchased it, and I did not realize I was gonna like it as much as I ended up liking it, and that is The Girl in 6E by A.R. Tor. Sorry for the glare, the sun is giving shining right now. Like I said, you can literally see like the Goodwill sticker. I got this for $1 and it blew my mind. And when I was doing research for this video, I found out it's a series and I was like, oh my god, I have to read the next 2 books. But it's definitely 18 plus, So skip this part of the video if you're not comfortable talking about sex and sexuality, for sure. It's categorically a mystery thriller. It's about this girl who is obsessed and constantly thinking about killing people. She's never actually committed murder, but she believes that if she leaves her apartment, she will kill somebody. So instead, she's completely agoraphobic and she stays inside at all times. And to make money to pay her bills, she is an online sex worker. And there's very graphic imagery regarding her sex work, because through her sex work, she discovers a man who she provides services for, has this grotesque kink, and she finds out through research and through the news that it is connected to a young girl who is missing. So this woman has to solve this mystery without leaving her house, that she discovers through something that is looked down upon by society. And the romance in this is kind of like, almost like found romance, because her delivery guy, or like the guy who takes her trash or something like that, gets wrapped into the mystery with her. And he is the first person that she sees and is like, oh, I maybe don't want to kill you. And together they solve the mystery. And it's pretty spicy. It's very, how do I want to say this? It's very like silly, because it's her first love and he's like, why are you not leaving the house? Like, you're a normal person. And she's like, oh my God, I just want to kill people all the time. And he's like, then why don't you want to kill me? And she's like, I don't know. But the plot is crazy and the romance is definitely titillating. The last book on this list today is The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornichek. Hopefully I said that right. Oh my God, that glare. This is a mythology book. It's Norse, and it's a pretty accurate depiction of the actual mythology. It's about Loki's wife and how she is a witch and lives on an island, and they have like the kids. One is Hel, the half-dead girl, and you know, it's pretty true to the actual myth. Like, Loki is a horse at one point and like has a kid or something. If you like magical forces colliding together type of romance, I would definitely recommend this book, because she is incredibly intelligent and she's very independent and skilled and knows how to navigate the world on her own. Wow, it's like I have a goatee from the sun. Slay. And Loki obviously is a very different kind of magic, where he's very mischievous and constantly getting in trouble and has like transformation powers. There's also like other types of creatures in this universe that are really exciting, but their romance is really beautiful because it's these two huge magical forces coming together into her little hut and being very intimate and small together. And they also, if you like romances that go beyond just when they first commit to each other, like have family, get married type stuff, I would recommend this book. And it ends with the main character's ending in mythology. It's like a full story, and the romance is really beautiful, and the ending is very tragic. If you like romances with tragedy, I would recommend this book. Okay, that wraps up my list for books that are not technically romances but have incredible romances in them to keep you warm this upcoming winter. I hope you enjoyed. Please comment down below if you have any oppositions to my genre picking apart that I did with these books, or if you have any further recommendations. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.